Good morning, my workplace warriors. It is Friday morning, November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving 2024. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope that your Thanksgiving weekend is continuing on into today, that you're enjoying time with family and friends. And I hope you checked out my post from yesterday, my Thanksgiving Day post. Yes, I was busy. I was as tired as all get out, but I did do a post on yesterday that I think that you will really like, and so I invite you to definitely check it out. Um, the other thing is I can't stress to you enough that even though it's the holidays, make sure that you do your due diligence by taking at least one step every day, no matter how small it is, to achieving your goal of living your best career life. And that may be, like I said in my post on yesterday, that may be just reading through your resume. Maybe you're not in your normal place where you can have your own space to do what you need to do. And I know how hard that is when you're traveling and you're either in a hotel at a friend's or relative's house and the setup is different. But you can still hopefully um, pull up your resume on your phone or your laptop or your cover letter or even or you can pull it up on your tablet and just take about 15, 20 minutes and read your resume or cover letter from start to finish. I mean, from the header down to the closing salutation or ending greeting, to make sure that you have no spelling or grammar errors. And also install the Grammarly, the free Grammarly app. There's a paid version, but the free version is absolutely awesome. And you can definitely do some great writing and get some great writing assistance with the free version. So, as hard as it was to get up this morning, I actually got up, thought that it was 5:50, and I said, "Oh, I have a little bit more time, and I can go back to bed." Not. It was actually 6:20, and my alarm went off at 6:30, and I was like, "Oh my God, I need some more sleep." But as always, it excites me to be able to be here with you guys, and so this Friday, we're going to talk about, unfortunately, toxic bosses. And you may have one. It's unfortunate that we all will run into a toxic manager, I should say. I don't like the word boss because there's nobody who is the boss of me other than my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I will say manager. And it doesn't take long after you enter the work world sometimes to come across a manager who is less than professional and who does not make your employment experience an enjoyable one. And so it's very, very unfortunate. Even my 17-year-old son has already had an experience like that. And it's a part of life. I've given him tips on how to handle situations like that, and hopefully he'll be able to navigate it successfully, and so will you. So let's begin looking at these signs that could let you know that you have a toxic boss or manager. I have to remember that, manager, not boss. So let's start. I have my notes here on my other screen, but I wasn't at the beginning of my notes. Excuse me. So if you have a manager who is always right, just know. that they're creating a toxic work environment because none of us are always right. And we always need to be open to receiving ideas and information from others. And especially when we're in a management position, we need to be collaborative and setting an example of being honest and sometimes even vulnerable when we are wrong about something. And I believe that as a manager, when you set that tone and you let your employees, your team members see that you're willing to be a little vulnerable with them, it allows them to be vulnerable with you, and not so you can set them up for failure. It's so that you can help them in the areas that they need to be strengthened in, and to improve in. And they don't have to feel as if they have either a target on their back, or if they can't be human, which to be human means that you're going to make mistakes from time to time. Next, they put people down in public. And let me tell y'all this right here. You all know that I've been doing human resources. I've been a human resources professional for this month will be 32 years. That actually 33 years. December of 1991, I started my first true HR job. I graduated from undergrad in 1989 with a bachelor's in management, and it took me about 2.5 years before I broke into the field of HR. So shouts out to South Carolina State government. That's where I cut my professional HR teeth, learning how to develop merit system exams and how to analyze jobs. Thought it wasn't going to help me in my career because um, I didn't know how it was going to help me, but I have utilized those skills throughout my 33 years of being a human resources professional. But because employee relations is one of my favorite areas of HR, because I feel like I know I'm making a difference in the professional and personal lives of both managers and employees by practicing employee relations. And this is one of the biggest ones that I am very passionate about. And I do not favor management over employees. I don't favor employees over management. I favor doing the right thing, keeping allowing people to maintain their dignity. My personal tenet is that anyone who comes into my presence will leave with their dignity intact. That is my hope for every interaction with anyone, especially when people are vulnerable or feeling down about something or what have you. And so it really, really, gets me really upset when I either see or hear about a manager putting someone else down in public. I think not even think, it makes them a smaller person because they utilize or abuse their managerial authority to make another person feel less than. And it's bad enough when they do it when it's just them and the other person um, in a private meeting or conversation, but it's even worse when you humiliate someone in public and or in front of other people. I think that's about as low as you can go. And if they're being a manager if that's their definition of being a manager, they don't need to be one. And I would be one who would be quick if I would a person in authority above them to free them of their managerial responsibilities and provide them, hopefully, with some training to help them to become better. So that is definitely a large red flag of being a toxic manager. When you feel the need or you feel like you have the right to put another person down and to especially do it in public. Can you feel how passionate I am about that? Next, they never give constructive feedback. It's always, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. And instead of being constructive and, for one, letting the person know something that they did right or that you've observed that they're very strong in, and then just explaining to them that there are still areas of opportunity in this area, and this area. And be constructive by identifying ways that you think that you can support that person um, as their manager to help them to develop those skills that they may be um, needing some additional strength in. And then asking them also, what type of support do they see themselves needing? How can you help them become successful in the areas that they may not be as strong in as they need to be for success on the job? Because what you, as the manager, think that they need may be different from how they perceive what their needs are, and maybe you can combine the two and come up with a with your perspective and their perspective to help them to be successful, come up with a solution and help them to be successful on the job. Next, they play favorites. Okay, I'm not into clicks. I have a team of 3 direct reports. 2 were in the location where I am. 1 is at another um, a different geographically located office. And no, I don't play the favorites. That's not something that a good manager would do. If any of my team members come to me to talk to me about something, I try to give them my undivided attention. Or if I can't give them my undivided attention right then, I apologize to them first of all, and I assess how important it is, because sometimes when your team members come to you to speak with you about something, you have to assess, is it something that needs to really be addressed right in that moment? And so you may need to rearrange some meetings or whatever to address it right then. Other thing is because I know that 2 of my team members have ready access to me at least the 3 days of the week that we're all in the office together. Um, then, or the 2 days a week that all 3 of us are in the office together, they have the advantage of being able to walk around the corner to my office if they need to speak with me in person. But my other employee, I only get to see her on average once a month when we have an all HR staff meeting with the larger HR team. So what I try to do to help her continue to feel connected is, one of the things I do is I have a scheduled one-on-one with her most weeks, so that she can bring any concerns that she has, that she needs me to assist her with in the way of work-related items. I have a special date and time when she and I, it's only me and her meeting, and she has my scheduled undivided attention. And I also try to reach out to her every day, just to say, hey, how's it going? I may do so via chat. I may do so. I may, call her or what have you, send an email, but just to let her know that, okay, I realize that you're at a different location and you don't have the same ready access to me consistently. The other thing that I do to keep all of my team cohesive is most mornings of the week I send them a motivational message. I just use Canva. Find a motivational message for that day to encourage them. We share recipes, we share little family stories. We'll be sharing, I'm sure on Monday, we'll be sharing some of our stories, funny moments, and maybe some of our moments of when a recipe went totally wrong or whatever ever as we prepare for Thanksgiving, or funny stories about guests that happened during the Thanksgiving period, and we just take a little bit of time just to share. But I typically, at least I say, between 3 to 5 days out of the work week, I send them a morning motivational message that also includes a new word of the day with the definition of that word, as well as an interesting fact. And so I'm subscribed to interestingfacts.com, historyfacts.com. I'm also subscribed to wordsmarts.com and wordgenius.com. And so I just go out there. I get my daily subscriber emails from those platforms. And so it makes it easy. So I just use Canva and one of those platforms and send them a nice little message at the start of each day. And it gets us to talk about things other than work, because we are dealing with people who have lives. And it's so important to not get into that such a transactional mode that you forget that you're dealing with real people with real lives. And yes, because I've created that safe space for them, we have shared things with each other that I will take to my grave, that some of them have shared with me. And I've even had that same relationship with their predecessors. I have one person who retired a couple of years ago, and so she and I had that same great relationship as well. And the awesome thing is I had it with my previous manager, who I reported to for 8 years, well, 7.5 years, and I'm developing a very similar um, work relationship with my new manager, whom I started reporting to in November, on November 1st. And so it is, and she is just very, very happy about the motivational message that I send out to the team. I include her, and she encourages that type of interaction. And so, it makes for everybody's day to go better, because as a human resources professionals, we wear a lot of hats, and our jobs can be very stressful because we're dealing with anything from simple time and attendance issues, payroll issues, benefits issues, employee mental health issues, their family issues, their illness issues. People share so many things with us. And if you really care about people, and I feel like that is a paramount must if you are a human resources professional and you want to be successful, or you want to make a true impact on people's lives. But sometimes we carry that weight on us, and it's just so important to have some type of relief, some type of release. And so, having a good work relationship with your colleagues and your manager, you can't buy that. It's valuable. It's golden. So if your manager cuts you off in a meeting, they're likely toxic, because they should have more emotional intelligence and be more self aware And now there are times that I have, I had an idea swimming around in my mind, and I felt like if I didn't blurt it out, that I would lose it because I will forget sometimes. But the great thing that I like about my team and I, we will apologize. We'll say, I'm sorry. I should not have, cut across you or spoken over you. And that's really easy to do in this land of virtual meetings because there's a little bit of delay between the speaker and when the sound actually transmits to the hearer. And so we're very aware of that, and we apologize to each other when we do happen to speak across someone. But it's not because we're trying to cut the person off. It just may be impulse, just trying to get that idea out of our heads before we lose it. So keep that in mind. And also, let me say one more thing about that cutting you off in a meeting. To me, that's akin to sometimes humiliating um, a people, humiliating a person in public because you could also you could be telling that person that their idea is not valuable, and that's unacceptable behavior for a manager. Now, if they only care about their own career advancement, oh my God, you better run in the other direction, or you better have a strong plan, professional development plan for yourself so that you can keep yourself on track because you need to be an active participant in your career advancement. So if you happen to have a manager who is not concerned about or taking your career advancement seriously, please have your own plan where you're doing independent study, you're pursuing certifications and what have you, and if necessary, pursuing your own um, brand new opportunity. And an experience that I had was when I broke into the employee relations functional area of HR. Until then, from 1991 to 1998, mid to late 1998, I had been mostly in the compensation, job classification, job analysis area or functional area. And so I found it so hard to break into employee relations. So it took me basically 8 years, almost 7 years, to break into employee relations. What happened was when I got that first job with South Carolina state government, I my then manager allowed me to go and kind of shadow um, other HR professionals in our division who were doing different types of HR work. And when I attended an employee grievance hearing, and that was in I think, my second week as a new HR generalist. And I knew then that I wanted to be in employee relations because I felt that that was where my niche was. And so it took me 7 years to break in, and thank God, what happened was my job at the time here in Georgia, the first organization I was employed with here in Atlanta when I relocated here, they offered us a cross training program, and I was selected to participate. I completed the cross training program. I think it lasted like 6 months, where I would go a couple of hours of each work week to the employee relations department, and I would observe and learn from the senior employee relations representatives in that area. And the director was very pleased with what he saw during my cross training assignment. And when he had someone to turn in their resignation for a new position, he sent that person to ask me if I would be interested in being considered for the vacancy that was about to come up on his team. And yes, I was very interested. And what my manager and vice president wanted to do at that time is they wanted to cut my pay by 8%. Well, we weren't making much money anyway, but I knew that this was my opportunity to break into employee relations and really get into the functional area of HR that I really felt I could make a difference in. And so I realized when they gave me the reasoning for wanting to cut my pay by 8%. One was they felt that the market dictated that because they felt that employee relations, which is really crazy, that employee relations was not, I guess, valued as highly monetarily as compensation, which, there wasn't much I could do about that. But there were some other reasons why they said, I didn't have experience doing this, this, and this. And so let me tell you, that job analysis experience from South Carolina state government, it came into play big time. So I wrote a letter and explained to them that while you say that I don't have experience doing this, 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 and this, I was able to pull out all of my transferable skills that I felt made me um, eligible to keep my same salary. So what they did, believe it or not, my director and my vice president, they read my letter. They never responded to my letter. But what they did do is instead of cutting my pay by 8%, they only cut it by 4%. And so that's why you have to be an active participant in your career advancement, because you have to speak up for yourself and have a plan. And so the rest is history. That was September of 1998. I've been doing employee relations heavily in every position that I've held since then until today. So there's a little bit more information about my career and how it, has grown. They take credit for your work. Now, understand our job, no matter what level that we are in our career, our job is to make our manager look good. You do a great job on a project, but and then you don't take credit, or you don't worry about necessarily not getting credit. But I also think that as a manager, it is very important for us to give our team members credit where credit is due. And I'm always very careful to let my superior know when I submit something to her. I always let her know whether it's in writing or it's verbally. I always let her know who it was that helped me on the project or who actually did the work. And yes, I, as the manager, as their manager, am submitting it to my manager, but I don't take credit for their work. I openly let them know who helped me on that project. And that'll make your team members really trust you, because they know that they can count on you to give them credit for the work that they're doing. And also, if you are an upstanding person, it's just the right thing to do. So do not take credit. If you are a manager, do not take credit for your employees' work. And if you are a manager who takes credit for your employees' work, I'm looking forward to the day that you get embarrassed when you can't explain the background or the process on how that work was done or on what the resolution was based on, because it's not the right thing to do. So don't take credit. There's enough credit out there for all of us. Next, if your manager makes inappropriate comments or gestures, oh my God, such as sexually harassing or workplace bullying type gestures and comments to you, then you know if the standard is that a reasonable person would consider that behavior or gesture inappropriate. So listen, you have your employee relations department. In most companies, they have their own employee relations department. Now, I fully understand that there are some organizations out there that do not encourage employees to bring forth complaints. And I mean, that is such a toxic work environment when employees are expected to show up on a job and to endure inappropriate comments and gestures from someone who is supposed to be a part of their leadership, that's supposed to help to develop them and grow their career, but they have nobody to go and talk to. HR is scared to say anything because they're afraid that their careers may be in jeopardy or whatever. But guess what? If you don't have an ethics hotline at your job where you can submit complaints, or if you submit a complaint to employee relations or HR or the ethics hotline and you don't get any response or you're not satisfied with the outcome and you know in your heart that you have been treated inappropriately, you need to go outside of the organization. And yes, it can be scary, but let me tell you, you deserve better than that. All of us have the right to reasonably expect to have a work environment that is free of inappropriate gestures, comments, actions, and on other unwelcome behavior. So just know that you can reach out to your state's equal opportunity or equal employment office, or you can reach out to the EEOC at the federal level, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission at the federal level. Or if it is serious enough, you may even need to get yourself an employment law attorney. And typically, attorneys will provide you with a free consultation. Um, to help you make an informed decision as to whether or not bringing a lawsuit against your employer is a wise idea or if it is advised. And make sure you have your documentation, um, as much documentation as you possibly can, so that you can effectively express the gravity of the seriousness of the situation that you're enduring. They don't care about your work life balance. If you have a manager who they think that work is your life, that's an issue because we all, whether we're a family of one or a family of 15, we need to make sure that we have, excuse me, healthy work life balance because that's what makes you feel like a whole person. You need to have social interactions with your family and friends. You need to have a reasonable length work day. And sometimes I work excessive numbers of hours. But the thing about it is I also, as tired as I am after some of those 10, 12, 14-hour days, if we're working on a big project or what have you, I don't have to feel that my employment is in jeopardy because I may need to take a day off to go to the doctor, or I may need to take a day off to do something with my family. And I don't have to give all of my personal details to my manager. I can just say I have, something that has come up personally. Is it okay if I take the day off to take care of it? And I mean, I just hope that everyone could be in a work environment like that because it just makes you enjoy your job so much more. It makes you to push harder um, for the organization and its mission. And it makes your days just go by so much more quickly and enjoyably because you're, being treated like the professional that you are. So keep that in mind. You have to set boundaries so that you can enjoy work life balance. They create conflict within the team. And I can't stand what they call a messy manager. If you have a messy manager who pits their employees against each other, they're toxic. Because otherwise, I mean, why would they want to do that? They should want to have collaboration, respect, and harmony, amongst the team members. And what they don't realize is they're making themselves look very unprofessional. And again, probably should not be a manager because they are messy. I don't like mess. You shouldn't either. Um, if they're unpredictable, let's say they're all happy and jovial and what have you one moment, and then just a few minutes later or a few hours later, they're blowing their top about something. They're not showing self control. Um, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for you. That's not healthy for them. Not healthy for your coworkers either. So if you have an unpredictable boss, you never or manager, you never know what type of mood they're going to be in. Oh goodness, try to get out of that situation because then it's going to oftentimes make you take on some of that behavior because you're stressed out dealing with them and not knowing how they are going to come across that particular day. They micromanage you. Now, this is a difficult one, and I know a lot of employees they complain about their manager, micromanaging. Yeah, it may be a little frustrating to have that to happen. And sometimes employees have a different idea of what micromanaging means. It could mean that your manager might feel like you're not utilizing your time wisely during the workday. And so, yes, it may come across as micromanaging, but they are the ones who have to answer to their superiors about the productivity of the team. So try to look at it from that standpoint, that they're the ones who have to answer about, team performance or what have you. So it may not be meant to be micromanaging, or you may be able to sit down with your manager and just say, I noticed that you check in, oh, excuse me, a lot. And please know that I'm an excellent independent worker and I appreciate your support and all of the guidance that you provide. But just know that you can trust me to come to you if I have an issue, and hopefully that can make your day less stressful because that's my goal, to make you look good, to make the team look good. And so hopefully you don't have to continue to feel as if you have to check in with me so often. And hopefully if they're a reasonable person, hopefully they'll test you out and see how well you do with, like you said, being an independent employee who gets the job done, and they can trust that you'll come to them and let them know if you really need their help. And then that can cut down on your stress level as well. But if they continue to micromanage, then you may have to just understand that that's just the way that they manage. But I can almost guarantee you that as time goes along and they continue to build that confidence, have that improved confidence in you and your abilities and the way that you do things, they'll probably start kind of backing off a little bit. And it'll probably be a little subtle, but you'll look back and say, hey, they're not micromanaging me anymore. At least that's my prayer. So um, that's a personal decision that you'll have to make regarding how to deal with that. But that's just a suggestion on one way that I would recommend you dealing with it. And we're only going to go through half of these. I think I'm going to save the other, because there are 30 of them. So I think I'm going to save the other 15. So we're on number 14 now. I think I'm going to save the other 15 for next week. So number 14 is they talk about people behind their back. That is such immature behavior, especially from a manager. So just be very careful and only confide in them what you have to confide in, in them, because if they are a person who talks about other people behind their back, then it could be that it's very likely that what you think you're confiding in them in confidence, that they're discussing it with other people. So just kind of gauge a person's level of professional maturity before you start to share too much about your personal life, things that are not related to the job, or things that you don't want other people to know, because they don't have a need to know. Um, and let's see, they might neglect you, or if you have a boss or a manager. I keep saying the word boss. If you have a manager who neglects you, then that's an issue. As a manager, as a people manager, we take on the great responsibility of being a resource for our team. And if a manager can't handle that, then they don't need to be a manager. One of the things that I see often is that people who are awesome employees or individual contributors who have no direct managerial responsibilities, they're often promoted into a managerial position without the proper training on how to be a people manager. And so sometimes it's not their fault, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that there is not their fault. I know with my current organization, we always say that our HR team is small but mighty. We have a team of five, three individual contributors, then myself as a mid-level manager, associate director, and then my direct manager, who is an assistant vice chancellor slash chief HR officer. Um, we call ourselves the small but mighty HR team. A lot of times, we don't have the bandwidth, as they say, to be able to do all of our training in the time frame that we would love to do it in. So I know I can relate to that. That sometimes managers don't receive all of the training that they need at the time, at the very beginning of their journey as a people manager, and so sometimes they have a difficult time transitioning from being a colleague of just a coworker. I shouldn't say just a coworker, but being a coworker or an individual contributor with no management responsibilities over, guiding people and through their workday, to now all of a sudden being a people manager. And so if they don't receive the correct training and have never been a manager, especially before at all, then they may not always handle everything in the way that they should. So it may seem like they're neglecting you. If they are, please let them know that you're feeling, that you're not having you're not getting the support that you need, or you feel that you need more support or guidance, from them, or some key time availability on their calendar, like I referenced earlier, that I have a special meeting every scheduled meeting with my employee who works at a different location. I meet with her once a week, just me and her, so that she can have my undivided attention. Because I did realize that sometimes I wasn't getting around to touching bases with her like I should, and I do a much better job now because I realized the need, and she shared with me, some concerns that she had regarding my availability sometimes, and so that's why we implemented that once a week when it's nobody but me and her, totally undivided attention, where she and I can talk about things that she's working on, things that she needs my help or guidance on, or review on. And it has worked out so well. So, there can be different reasons, all reasons why a manager may neglect an employee, may not be intentional. So keep that in mind. So there we have it, the first 15 ways that you can tell if you have a toxic boss or manager. I'm going to get that straight. Boss is going to be out of my vocabulary come for next week's part two of this. You may have a toxic manager. Thanks to MSN Health. Um, that's where the article came from, and I hope that you found value here. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your network, other people who are wanting to live their best career life, because I'm on a mission to help you to live your best career life. Also, know that I offer independent workplace resolution sessions where I work with employees who may not feel comfortable going to their in-house human resources staff to discuss a workplace issue. Um, I do those on an hourly basis, and the link to that, to schedule a session, it will be under in the details of this video, the recorded version of this live. um, Also, know that we do Friday morning lives every Friday morning at 7 a.m. And like I said, next week we will continue with the last 15 signs of you may have a toxic manager. So until next time, I hope you have an awesome, awesome Friday after Thanksgiving. I hope the rest of your weekend is great and you return to the workplace on Monday feeling all refreshed and energized, because you will have had an awesome Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Thanks for joining. Bye bye.